Ro32 paralyze versus Cure.
Up here in the top left in the red from SK Telecom, he's down 0-1. He is.
SK Telecom T1 paralyze.
There's the man himself. And down to the bottom right in green.
Gene Green Wings Cure.
Any nervousness he had was pretty much cured after that first game, I think. Cure, that is.
So let's talk about that push, actually. What is that? Oh, it's a hot 6 can. That's great.
He's like, what? What push? Please, continue.
Okay, so hot 6 can is like the paperclip guy in Microsoft Office, but instead of helping me, I'm going to help you. Going back to what I was saying, the push came with 2 tech labs with stim and combat shields. Really fast, super fast powered up. Not something we see all the time. We usually see a little bit of a slower push or a little bit of a faster push without the stim, right? With just Marines where they come and trade for the probes against an early push like this. Thank you guys so much for coming. Glad to have you here. And I hope you enjoy the show. So the push was really, really strong. It was not scouted really by Paralyze till the last second. He even made a cannon. That was the cannon was curious to me because I don't think he knew what was coming. But maybe it was just a blind cannon for a little bit of safety.
I mean, he already had that Forge making the upgrades, and he was like, well, I know this is a bit of a greedy build to get out that tech very early, so maybe throw down 1 cannon. He eventually added another cannon, which was in a kind of strange place. I feel like it would have done better on the left there. Didn't really see much action.
Right,
but
yeah. That was a bit strange, the one on the right side.
Yeah.
I think we definitely saw some nerves out of Paralyze in this first game. And the thing is really this just is so uncommon. This is the type of push that we saw in Wings of Liberty where you were just like, all right, stimming and going up the ramp, hope he doesn't hit his force fields, and he's going to die.
Yeah. I mean, the reason this kind of thing stopped is because if the push gets stopped, then you're so behind on tech. I mean, his factory was so late.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I mean, if the Protoss is able to stop that push, he's got Colossi on the way. He's got 1, 2 Colossi at your front door in the next 2 minutes, and you don't have medevacs, like, even by that time.
So true. I mean, he delayed his tech a lot. Like, when Paralyze saw that there was the factory was being started as his observer got into the base, that tells him, like, a big, big tell, you know?
Yeah.
So, probe comes in here. We'll check, you know, the tech this time. He's going to see that it's a much more conservative build on the command center timing, and he pulled out a gas. So he was like, oh, okay, I see. No additional Reapers or anything like that. First Reaper will come in here now. It's a really hard map to deny Reaper scouts on, and it's pretty much going to get your base no matter what.
Yeah. Interesting he scouted that little nook over there. I mean, could be an interesting place to hide your buildings.
Who did we see? We saw somebody hide gates on the low ground once on this map, on the south position. Maybe it was checking for that, making sure it's not like 4-gate coming out with like gates on the low ground.
That would be cool.
Oh, it's a Stargate opener. The Reaper will have to hop back in there to check that if he wants to see it. And actually, he's... Okay, now he's coming around. He's really concerned about proxies, it looks like.
Yeah. He's got that Reaper now. Instead of going straight to the main base, he's coming back to kill this probe first. Maybe check for proxies and then go to the main base through that little stepping stone on the left side of the base.
Some people call it a stepping stone. Some people call it a... I call it a lip. Tosis calls it the chin.
I would call it a ledge, actually, most of the time, but I feel like that's not really accurate. You know, 100% accurate.
Right.
But...
I mean, maybe you call it an outcrop. I don't know. It's like a stalag sideways-ite. It's not like up or down. All right, here comes that Reaper. He wants to see the Stargate. Not going to find it. He's been delayed too much by that probe assassination mission.
Yeah. And even if he tried to jump into the main base, Paralyze was ready with a bunch of stalkers, so he wasn't going to get the scout on that regardless, even if he tried to sacrifice his Reaper there.
So here's the difference between a normal pressure and what we saw last game. He has later tech. You know, he doesn't have stim, he doesn't have combat shields, but he does have is a factory. He spends his gas on that first, doesn't get double tech labs, and just researches the stim first. We'll get the combat shields afterwards. Makes the attack obviously a lot weaker, but it does give you the follow-up with the medevacs. Marines are in position here. Let's see how much damage this gets done.
Nothing so far. He's going to try to pick up one of those SCVs. He doesn't get anything. Pretty nice defense so far out of Cure. He's got all of his Marines in position. It's way too much to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this Oracle needs to do something. Vision from an Oracle is quite handy, but not usually enough to pay for the cost. Really solid defense here by Cure. He's leaving nothing to chance in this series. eBay even going up here now, going to give him a little bit more flexibility. I think he might be able to pick that SCV off, though. It's on the edge.
Yeah, nicely done. I don't think he's going to try for anything else here. Well, he's going to come around the right side. The Cure again. Nice control of the Marines, always following that Oracle.
Oh, look at this. Thought you could kill the tiles? Thanks, Dustin Browder. I'm coming in. Checks in here. Goes back. Sees that there's no additional oracles being produced. I guess that's all he's really going to see.
Oh, God.
Well, that didn't quite work out, but another kill on this oracle. He's really making it get some value.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of how prepared you are, it's still going to get like 1 or 2 kills. You know, it's always going to find some way to sneak a couple kills in.
And that's what actually makes it a good unit, because it's a unit that requires such great control, like the control we're seeing here, to actually make something like this happen against someone who's prepared. Ooh! That was not the greatest of controls, though.
Sometimes miscontrol to lead you to losing that Oracle.
Right. It's a high skill cap unit, as they would say. Okay, he's got
lots
a lot of
Marines.
Marines.
33, not a single Marauder in this mix.
Very different push than what we saw last game. Has medevacs, pure Marine army, a lot more vulnerable to Zealots. Would love to have that combat shield upgrade. It's not quite ready yet. I wonder if he'll wait for it. These Phoenixes are going to be great against drops, but definitely not going to be too useful against this pure Marine army. 35 of them. Most of those in this chunk right now.
Yeah. Combat shield's about to finish. He's definitely waiting for this. I'm not sure if he's going to wait for that +1. It's going to give the Protoss a lot of time to warp in a bunch more units. He does know this push is coming. He has seen it with the Observer.
All right, those Phoenixes not really going to prove to be very useful. He needs a time warp here. Let's see if he can get it. He's actually going to save this for an additional Nexus maybe. Okay, he's going to use it with the Colossus. Colossus comes over. He's too scared. Force fields go down. And so far, this has been a pretty solid defense here, but it's still a lot of Marines.
Yeah, Marines coming in as well. Very nice concave here. It's going to be hard to snipe down that Colossus, but they are getting a bunch of these sentries. They're fighting pretty well. Here come the Phoenixes, actually. He's got to deal with those, taking out some of those medevacs right now.
Yeah, I think that Cure was like, he just saw that much stuff. And he sees the Phoenixes, and now he's like, oh, now I understand. And this is an uncomfortable position for Cure because, yeah, he did get some damage done, but he does not have any way of harassing anymore as those Phoenixes are on the map. There are 5 of them. He's seen these Phoenixes. Like, that's a lot of Phoenixes. This is probably not something I can circumvent with drops. Yeah, that reactor, by the way, on the factory is for Widow Mine production.
Yeah, gonna see a lot of Widow Mines coming here. Very buff now. Pretty good unit,
yeah.
I'd say.
Widow Mines go in the gym with DK and get buffed. See if they can get some work done here. The splash radius, obviously much higher. Innovation saying earlier he felt they didn't really affect this matchup so much as the matchup versus Zerg. But we'll see. They haven't been able to accomplish anything for him just yet. Another solid defense here by Paralyze.
Yeah. Cure doing a decent job trading back and forth, but he's not really taking out any of those high-tech units. I mean, the Phoenixes and the Colossi are still alive. And as long as Paralyze gets his third base up comfortably, puts down a bunch more gateways as he does now, he's going to have as many gateway units as he wants. So as long as he continues the Colossi production and the Phoenix production, and he doesn't lose any of that, he's going to be in a pretty good shape.
Yeah. Well, scouts the third base out. Very aware of it. His army's not quite what he wants it to be. Even with a few Vikings in this mix, he wouldn't have enough to deal with the Colossi and the Phoenixes. This is actually a really aggressive engagement here, but I think this is one that Paralyze can wisely take. Does eat a few Widow Mine shots there.
Yeah. Again, Cure never fully committing to a fight. He's always kiting. He's always trying to pick off a few Zealots here and there, trying to get some good Widow Mine shots.
Third is empty right now. No saturation. I want to point out that the worker count is almost the same for these two, 64 to 63, meaning that the economy for Cure is actually better with mules. And he will have that third base saturation in just a moment with that CC finishing up as we speak. +1 and a second Stargate. All right. What's going on, Afro Toss?
That is the question. See very heavy Phoenix production along with those Colossi kind of going to that Phoenix Colossi.
Oh, that is a lot of damage to those Phoenixes right there.
Yeah, getting very low. Got to be careful with those. In the meantime, Cure back in his base. He wasn't making any Vikings up until this point. He just put down a second star port, and he's making a lot of Vikings now.
This looks like it's going to be a Phoenix Colossus out of Paralyze. I mean,
yeah, it's looking like that.
There's not much else this could be, right? It's not going to go carriers.
Is very out of position, actually. If Cure was aware that he could have been able to pick that off, but he's trying to micro his units.
He's so focused over here. Paralyze is like fastest map possible. Turtle mode with all these cannons, man. He's like not afraid to make cannons. I like that. You never want to, on a map like this, especially when there's 2 attack paths, you never want to neglect your base defense. Sometimes that's leaving a bunch of zealots at home. Sometimes that's having some cannons. Sometimes it's both. In this case, he has 4 cannons powered by that pylon there by itself. 4 Vikings at a time coming out. Ghost Academy.
Yeah.
He's getting ready because he needs a lot of Vikings to deal with these Phoenixes.
He really is.
Wow.
He's even getting the upgrades to his own Vikings as well. Getting those vehicle upgrades, getting the +1 there. So it's going to be pretty good for him. Some very strong Vikings. Coming back over here at that second attack path, just trying to take out that gas.
It's so dangerous to commit to attacks like this when there are Colossi and Phoenixes. Especially when you're trying to get that angle. Nice pick off on the Assimilator, though. That's actually huge. It's really undervalued, I feel. If you kill the Assimilator, it's not about the minerals, it's about the time. You lose so much gas mining.
Yeah.
Just look at the difference already at the top right. You can see it in the income. It's pretty huge.
Big deal. Well, we got Ghost on the way now. He's got 3 for now. And a ton of these medevacs in here. 7 so far.
Well, 2-2 is getting closer and closer here for ground, for Cure. Whereas Paralyze, focusing purely on his air upgrades, doesn't have any additional ground upgrades, nor does he have a Twilight Council as far as I'm aware. He's got 16 Zealots. They'd really benefit from a charge upgrade. He's probably going to want to add that pretty soon. He's going to add a 4th base first, and that's pretty confident.
Very confident indeed. And if you look at Cure so far from what he's shown to Paralyze, he has not shown a single Viking just yet. He's been poking with this army without Vikings, and he's balling them up. Look at that. They're just chilling. They're not doing anything. Right now, there's 14 Vikings that Paralyze has not seen.
It's true. Now, you can reasonably assume there are a lot of Vikings on the way, but it's not aware yet. You know, he's not aware how many Vikings he's dealing with. Because there's several different ways to deal with Phoenixes. Most people like to go heavy Viking, especially when it's a Phoenix Colossus comp, but you can just get a moderate amount of Phoenixes and have your Marine count be a little bit higher. It just really depends on how many Colossi your opponent has. With this many Colossi, not really an option. He definitely needs to go hyper aggressive on that Viking production. I mean, he's got 20 more hours. I like this comp for Cure. I think it's appropriate regarding what he's dealing with here. You have any question? I mean, a Viking will lose to a Phoenix straight up in a 1v1 fight, but they have the better range and they have that bio underneath. So it's really all about how the engagement goes, the Colossus spreading. Do the Vikings target the Phoenixes or do they shoot at the Colossus first? You know, you want to eliminate those Colossi so your ground army can do the rest. All right, he's actually going to start picking these off. That EMP
gets a ton of the shields off of those Phoenixes. And now Cure can kind of zone those out. He's actually going to take a lot of damage. Paralyzed well on these Phoenixes. Another EMP goes down. None of these Phoenixes actually have any shields.
Yeah, I think this could be the moment to attack the 4th.
Cure's on the chase.
I think he thinks so too. These Colossi are not yet here either. They pick off a cannon. Phoenix is going here on the side, linking those lasers. 1 Colossus gets picked, and he's actually going all the way here. You know, he's got a good angle, but the Zealots come through. There's a time warp. Is this enough bio? I think it might be.
It's looking like it. The Vikings doing a lot of work against a lot of those Colossi before they got a lot of big hits. So a lot of this bio still remains.
Attack hits right before charge. No charge on that. And that's
no +2 as well.
Yeah, 6 Vikings at a time now he's making. Oh my God. He's taking it to the next level.
It's going to be faster than Paralyze is ever going to be able to remake those Phoenixes, that's for sure. Still has a lot of the Phoenixes remaining, as they were not cleaned up by the Vikings. The Vikings focusing down the Colossi mainly during the fight.
Cure is taking a really good approach to the Phoenix Colossus matchup he's playing here. He just knows that his ground army is going to win the fight if he can eliminate those Colossi. And if he can do that, then the Phoenix he doesn't worry about him as much about losing his Vikings, because he can just keep making 6 at a time. He's devoted those resources to that, and that's what allows him to do this. If you want to do this off of 2-star ports, it's a little bit less comfortable of a position. He's about to hit 3-3 now, too. That's getting scary.
It's really, really scary. Considering that Paralyze back at his base, I think he's 2-1, maybe 2-2 on his ground army. Didn't exactly get a look on that armor upgrade, but I did definitely see that +2 to attack.
It's just so hard to actually fight with Phoenixes without being clumped up. The EMPs are just going to hit you so hard every time. Phoenixes all stack. They move and fire so they don't automatically spread intuitively until they're stationary for a period of time. So you're flying around trying to do some weird snipe tactics. Well, not weird, but actually intelligent. Trying to go over and pick off, like a medevac pick off a Viking, get out. Just eating a few volleys of those rockets and regen your shields. The EMP is going to hit you hard if you're ready for that. The Terran's ready for that. Here we go. He's balling him up. He's got a lot of Vikings here again. They're about to have +2. All right, another EMP. It's going to change the fight. Can he get some EMPs on the ground units as well? That's what we can find out here. He's targeting those Colossi down yet again.
It's looking like a huge concave of a lot of bio here, doing a lot of damage here. Those Colossi being focused down a lot by those Vikings as well. Really nice force shields, though, will hold this off for now, but Keurig just moving back and moving back forward. And he still has a lot of bio left over. He's
traded the Vikings for Colossi, but this time he doesn't get enough of a good trade to actually push forward. This is a scary moment because the Phoenixes are still out there, and they can now actually come across the map and terrorize anything they find. There's only a few Vikings here. You can EMP them all you want, but there's only 2-3 Vikings. This Phoenix fleet is going to destroy that. Turret's obviously a bit of a problem, but he may even want to go and start lifting up some of these SCVs down near the bottom left.
Yeah. We do see Kira having a lot of turrets around, but again, when you have this many Phoenixes, it's not going to do that much work against it. They can just fly over and ignore it for the most part.
Now, this is pretty intelligent by Paralyze to make now the time that he switches to Storm, because he knows Kira's game. He's like, okay, you do this thing where you like attack, you trade your Phoenixes, you make 6 Vikings at a time. I'm going to make Storm, and then you're gonna have so many Vikings in the air, but that's not really going to be my AoE. My only AoE. It's not going to be the damage I'm really relying on here. I'm going to have these High Templar to drop storms on everything you've got.
Yeah. Kure did get a nice scan on about 4 of those High Templars, so we can reasonably assume that the storm will be ready for the next fight, or at least it's coming. It's on the way here for Paralyze, so he's going to have to take that into account. Do you see Paralyze with the Prover here, maybe trying to make that 5th base?
Yeah. Mule's dropping dead.
Yeah.
Always a sight that non-Terran players love to watch.
Secure making 5 ghosts at a time. See that Marauder count kind of dropping a little bit lower, favoring those Marines.
Yeah, and the ghosts as well. You know, the ghosts take Marauder production time on those tech labs.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can only max so many units. All right, he's actually asleep in charge of these ghosts. You know what? Yeah, I don't blame him for that. Gets a good EMP there. So he's going to straight up engage this. He's going to hard engage. Okay, Storm's going down here on all those Vikings, and Kure really eats it, man. I'm not sure he can commit to this attack anymore.
Takes a huge amount of damage with that, and there's still 5 Colossi here for the AoE on the way. We'll see the Vikings just go straight for the Colossi. This is what they're trying to do. They're just trying to trade and push that army back. In the meanwhile, poking at that Nexus. A very nice EMP, a lot of those Zealots now, but good storms back on Kure's army as well.
This is actually so cool watching these two battle it out like this. Zealots coming through here at the front. Some nice pickups on the Phoenixes. All the ground army is now gone, as well as the Vikings. It looks like Paralyze has sealed the win here. There's not much else that Kure can do. And I have to say, a quite masterful use of Phoenix Colossus. I haven't really seen a lot of success out of this build, except by his rival team's player Myungshik. Did do a lot of this. We did see some of this kind of play from Stats in the past as well, but this is looking like some of the best Phoenix Colossus we've seen in a while in Korea here.
It's been very well done so far. Love the transition into Storm as well. His army is just so high-tech right now, and it's getting to that late-game Protoss where Kure's going to have just such a rough time dealing with this.
He was very brave with his Phoenixes, and I think that's what gave him a lot of succce here. You know, eat an EMP or not, he was still trying to pick off some of these units, was pretty careful, always had the Phoenix production, always had them really heavily upgraded. Cannons on the ground as well, it really helps out. And when you eliminate that threat of early game drops with this composition, you just end up having a strong late game. And generally speaking, Terran players do not want to fight a Protoss in the late game. They like to get so far ahead in the mid game that late game is theirs and they own it.
Yeah. We did see Cure kind of take a small lead there in the mid game, but he wasn't really able to extend it. And he's given Paralyze a lot of time now to build up this huge army that has 7 Colossi, 5 High Templars, 2 Archons, and 13 Phoenixes. So that's a strong, strong Protoss army, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's the mega army, man.
The death ball.
The death ball, dude. So, I mean, this Phoenix group over here doing some work. Does pick off some of those units. SCV count at this stage in the game not that important, but he is depleting his bank in minerals very, very quickly with all those barracks he's added. He's added a ton of those. This is like a late game Protoss Terran, man. He's got like, I don't know, he's got a ton of units he can make right away.
This is a Protoss Terran, in
11
fact.
barracks.
Ooh, Big Storm goes down, but the EMPs to follow up.
I gotta say, whatever was affecting the nerves of Paralyze in game 1, man, it's out, man. He's like totally in the zone right now. Yep. He is hitting every storm. He's hitting every dodge with those Phoenixes coming and picking units off. He's very aggressive, very confident, not looking shaky at all. But game's not over yet. Storms need to be dodged, so got so much value out of those Templar, killing several ghosts and the storm. He's only got 2 Templar left though, and these Protoss upgrades are still not very good.
That is true. He's got a very, very heavy ghost comp in this. He has 12 ghosts in this comp. And there are 7 Colossi still in this mix. Those are going to be able to flame down those ghosts really, really quickly.
And finally, that blue shine of hope on the production tab. +3 attack for these Protoss units is queued as target on that Stalker. Now, again, a catch here.
Oh my god, way out of position here for Cure, losing a lot of units.
That was quite expensive. EMP hits some Zealots. The second one hits a decent amount of Phoenixes. Those High Templar are so critical right now. If they get the right storms off on these Vikings, that's all they need.
Yeah, not quite the best storm there. Very good EMP going off as well on those Phoenixes. And the Vikings just fighting straight up. He's got 24 Vikings right now, so he will be able to do that. Phoenix count kind of dropping a little bit lower here. Look at that fleet, man.
It's a fleet.
Yeah.
That medevac over here is going to be shut down hard. Not even close, no chance.
DED.
DED, man. Okay. Another engagement. Vikings with that range with the ghost power underneath. He can zone these Phoenixes out, but when the rest of the army comes with those Archons, 1 or 2 blasts of that, it's lights out. You gotta be careful with your Vikings. Make sure they're spread. Look at that spread.
That's a good spread if I've ever seen it, man.
Yeah, man, that's actually really good.
Storms do go down. They aren't the best, and the EMP is really nice there on the High Templar. He's forced to make Archons right now.
Yeah, and he's eliminated a lot of the Phoenixes, making it so much easier for him to just straight up engage on these Colossi. Ground army is all but gone on the other hand. And let's see, is that enough Archon firepower? I think so. I don't think he can actually push this any further. He needs to get back and rebuild his composition. He's making a ton of units right now with all those barracks he's got back at home.
Yeah, he's going to need those Vikings as well. Once he's able to take down that Colossus core, he's going to do so much better, especially with the EMPs. If they go down on a lot of those Archons, it's going to make it so much easier.
Yep. A bit of a spread there. He's ready for a fight. Paralyze wasn't going to give it to him. Notice that Cure's army size is about 23 up right now, but if you look at the cost of Paralyze's army, it would be much higher. His units are more expensive, and they do a lot more damage. Those Archons, that 300 gas doesn't count for nothing.
That is true.
I don't know if I would use that phrase right, but what I mean to say is that's a lot of gas, and it definitely, the Archon is a pretty good unit.
Pretty good.
Especially considering you can get drop storms before the Archon comes out. The Archon is actually like, it's like a candy wrapper of storm, but like it's a candy wrapper that's like really awesome and still useful for many things.
Yeah.
I don't know about this analogy, but these Phoenixes are way out of position. They're looking for a drop, and this is going to actually allow Cure to grab this base.
He was able to snipe down that Militia Corps. Very good snipe there as well. No time warp's going to come in here. No cannons.
Yeah, this is actually awkward. Now these Phoenixes are taking some shots.
And there's a huge Viking fleet once again. 20 Vikings here.
Ooh, but that Archon group, not going to make it easy. He'd love to just snipe those, man. If he could just right-click on some of those with his ghost and maybe pick those off. They're so low on shields, but he's more focused on the big picture rather than these little snipes. One does get picked off here, and another great EMP.
Such a tense moment for both of these players. They're just trying to reconfigure their armies, trying to get a really good position on the other here. Very nice storms go down onto those Vikings, taking a ton of damage, but the Colossi are going down. Still a huge amount of Zealots here to tank, and not much bio, but he is following it up, and those Colossi on the run.
Oh god, this is so close, actually. Kira just decided to let his Vikings fall and take the ground engagement there. Felt like he had an opportunity, felt like he had a moment. That was kind of an odd engagement. I felt like Paralyze could have been like, a little bit safer with how he fought that, considering that Kira was just kind of like, all right, here's all my Vikings. Notice the income for these two is almost dead even as well, and that's with mules. Another fight's going to go down here, and I don't know if there's enough Protoss this time. This army for the Terran is just looking way too big, and he's just taking too many good trades. What a great back and forth game. GG.
GG.
Kira's going to winner's match. A Terran. Terran. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, is it the return of GOMTV?
I think it may be, dude.
It could be, man.
A lot of these Terrans coming in and doing really, really well. I mean, Kira showed us what he's got today. Playing really, really nicely.
He certainly did, man. That was a really cool series. Well, actually, honestly, let's be frank, it was a really cool game, too. The first game was a bit weird. Paralyze was able to get, his focus back, get his mood back right in game 2, played a brilliant game.
Looked much better in that second game.
He just couldn't really capitalize on these engagements. It was every time they had a little fight, like a little skirmish, Kira always got a slightly better trade.
Yeah.
And eventually, with all the production he added, he was able to just wear him down.
Yeah, he looked like he knew exactly how to fight that composition as well. Tons of Vikings, really nice ghost CMPs as well, were the key to that fight.
Yeah. So we're going to have a commercial break before we go into our second set of matches. When we come back, it's going to be innovation. We'll see you then.